Yeah. Howdy, folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way, and it is Friday. And tonight I've got the returning Queen of Quartz, and we're going to have another enlightened discussion, which it should be excellent. We're just building up to the climax. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you right off the bat to Karen. How you doing tonight, Karen?
I'm exceptional, Brian. Thanks for having me again. Hello, everybody. Welcome, and should be a good evening. And even though we're going to fly by our seat of our pants again, as usual, but say hello to everybody. Who's in the chat, Brian? Like, who's here?
Let's see who we got. We got Grey Wolf. His name, I can't say anymore. Takara something, but it's Grey Wolf.
Oh,
then we've got Amit Clairsentient Oracle Wizard, Radiant Temple Reiki, Nick Grawl 333, Kenneth Thompson, Heather Cooper, Candy Apple, Michelle Canham Free, and they still rolling in.
Oh, good. I've recognized some of those for sure. Oh, good. Hello, everybody. Good that everybody's here. So, alrighty.
I got to stop YouTube here real quick so we don't get any feedback. There we go. All right, we're good to go now. So, how's your week been going this week, Karen? I know you've been busy as I have.
I'm just swamped. It's my busy time of year. So, yeah, it's summer and so much going on outside. It's mining season and it's when I do the most. So yeah, it's just really hectic and busy. And yeah, just lots going on with the Queen of Quartz and touching base with everybody. I know people might not know about this one, but just about, the huge project we're doing about connecting everybody in the crystals. And that's really starting to come together. And it's getting so big. And different things. I need an administrative assistant.
I'm sure you do, because I know I just popped in Wayne's chat. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, and I think it was today. And I saw where you were talking about all these different crystals you'd sent out. I'm just like, I mean, that's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, so and to track it, and then once the master crystals and all those get it, but I'm going to do a big map actually, and with push pins and just to show everybody around the world and where they master crystals, and you'll see the grid pattern light up and show just like if you were looking at the internet. And we're doing the same thing exactly, but with
so where you send each one of those crystals, you'll put a push pin?
Yes, in a map. On the map.
I'm curious to see how that comes out, to be honest with you, because I know, like I've said before on here, as far as the community we have, it seems like we're strategically placed, around the country and the globe.
Oh, for sure. And as I was talking to, a lot of people that are involved in the moderators and the people I've sent out, and as they know, like we actually have a North American team fully all over and developing. We'll test with first that I'm working with, but then we also have an international team, almost like just as many around the world that we'll plug into, and it'll just, we're going to start, experimenting small groups in certain areas. And then, but like I said, yeah, we got a North American team already established, and then the international teams there as well. So it's pretty well established too, all the way from South Korea to Australia to New Zealand to everywhere in Europe and Ireland and Denmark and Norway, and I could go on and on and on.
I've got quite a few Australian viewers, and I'm glad to see that. I've got them from other countries as well, but there seems to be a big influx of Australians coming, I guess, into this enlightenment period or whatever you want to call it.
Right. And so, of course, there's the complexity of the time zones and, trying to meet up with people with the time change from everywhere, to connect. So, but anyways,
trust me, I still get confused on all the different time zones when I'm talking to people who are supposed to, do different Zoom sessions, not just on YouTube, but like doing Zoom sessions with people and stuff like that. Like I can't even hardly keep up with the time here.
Yeah, for sure. for sure. All righty then. So,
I guess let's jump right into it. We got a lot.
I guess we should start about my pictures. I had one picture. I was laughing last week, right, Brian? We had one picture. We talked for an hour and 45 minutes, but I've got about 30, so we should be okay.
We're going to kind of keep it trimmed down, and I'm going to say right off the bat, we kind of got swamped with questions at the end last or 2 weeks ago when you were here, which I love, and I want you to please keep questions coming. But if you got questions right now, go ahead and ask them. And I'll kindly stop her and we'll try to answer your question as fits. So,
yeah. And the other thing, if it's just an hour or two, we're going to cover a lot. And what I'm going to recommend is several videos. These videos aren't long. Most are 30 to 40 minutes long to watch. And they're the actual, where I pulled the pictures from, and they're from the different science groups and the different videos that you should actually just watch them and watch the real people.
And she's going to send those links to me, and I'll have it in the description after the show. Yeah.
And remember, I am, how do I say, I'm learning just like everyone else, and everybody's input is welcome, and we're just trying to piece things together. I'm not a scientist in this way, the same as the ones that I'm going to show you in their theories, because remember I said at the beginning that these were the theories that are out there now, the emerging theories in our new paradigm, and these are the theories. And I want to make a point, and Brian and I mentioned it, and even Einstein said, and with his work and with him working for the unified theory and the theory of everything, he didn't have it. And he even said he didn't have it, and it wasn't complete. So with that, of course, with the years passing by and technology and how small our worlds come and the sharing of information, and of course, we're going to start working on those and have never stopped and expanded on those theories, and they've grown and expanded, and there's so many emerging with information. But what I found, just everybody, is that the 2 or 3 I'm going to mention, believe it or not, and most of them, they have all aspects that tie together, and there's portions that all fit.
Well, and that's like a lot of people take science as fact, and it's really an ever evolving system. So
definitely, I always laugh when people call it settled science, because there's nothing settled about science.
Not at all.
I learned that from the electric universe, and that's one of the main emerging theories, of course, right?
That's something I'm definitely trying to get more versed on, and at first I really didn't buy into it like a lot of the other theories, but the more I look into it, the more it makes sense as well. So, I guess that's part of the evolution of me, just like with everyone else.
Correct. And yes, the electric universe is right on the money. And I can even, we'll talk about different, even when I go through this, we'll go back, because they mentioned Velikovsky and time and his theory and the Pro-Saturn theory and how that worked. And you never know, we might eventually get into all of that. But yes, that's one of the main emerging theories, the electric universe. And the slideshows I'm going to show right away are from another group of scientists called the E8 Emergence Theory, and they're from the gravity research team. Okay, and these are all scientists, okay, and physicists. And so let's put a picture up. Let's grab one. I'll see where I'm.
Let's do it.
And I will have to share, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. All right, everybody can see this?
Yep. Good to go.
Okay, and the reason why I started it, and I might go back and forth because my pictures aren't quite in order, I don't think, because I just threw them on notebook really quick, because I really just grabbed these pictures a short while ago before the show here. So I grabbed this first. Like I said, this is from the Quanti-Gravity Research. It's an overview. It's emergence theory. I really recommend this short video. It's for the layperson. It's 30 minutes long. It's got a girl in it, and it 30 minutes, and it'll explain everything. And I'm just touching on it here. So the reason I brought this up is because somebody asked me a question after I got a couple emails about, because I had talked about the base unit of the smallest quantum unit of measure that we know of right now is the Tarev triangle, or a tetrahedron. Right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the smallish, and that's what quantum means, right? Quantum means the smallest part, or the smallest unit. We can go down as far as we can, okay? And somebody asked me, because they wondered, well, how do you get a sphere and orbs and different things like that? Because our world seems so round, okay? So, here's if you look at these pictures, you can see the different structures. You can see the base triangle, or the tetrahedron that makes all of these structures, and there's your sphere. But if you look at it quick, it's just a series of triangles.
Right. It's sort of like that grid-like pattern of the ley lines of Earth.
Yes, and I even have some pictures of that to show you, right? This is what we see within our 3D reality, okay? And I really like this theory that's coming out, and you'll see. We'll go on to another picture. So the theory has to do with quasi-crystals, and I'll explain that. I have a couple more pictures maybe that will help with that. So this might show that you can actually get other shapes, and this speaks to me because if you're crystals and being a the geology and the geologist looking at the crystal forms in the mineral kingdom and the base forms of all crystalline structures, right? They're all like this, right? You can go on to any site with crystals, right? And you won't see an orb, right? They're tetrahedrons, octahedrons, and so on, cubic, in in that structure. Okay, so I hope that. So that's and as I get to another picture, you'll really see within this system of emergence how you would get that tetrahedron pixelated looking sphere in our reality that we have. Believe it or not, this is a picture, and these are scientists. This is part of this video. And what this is a vase, a crystal vase, an actual crystal vase. And this is at the quantum level and the smallest particle. And here it's showing the crystalline structure. And this is called a crystalline structure because it's periodic and has a structure. And I should have showed you a picture of a 2D image where it's not periodic, but I'll show you it. It's different, which makes it a quasi-crystal because it's just a holographic or shadow. I'll show you here in a minute. But you can see definitely that. Look at it. Look at it. This definitely.
To me, it reminds me of the cosmic web of the universe.
It is. I have another picture. Wait, and when you look at this at the smallest quantum, the shape of it is a vase. It's a crystal vase that you put flowers in. Okay, so so let's go to the next one. I just wanted to show you this. Now, okay, here you go. So this is part of the layperson's guide of the emergence theory. And here you can see that you've got this dimension. You can see the tetrahedron shape. You've got your sphere, right? There's your orb at
That's
this
like
level.
Doing energy work, making energy balls.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So because of the questions about that. So, and so, no, I want to show something else first. Just a second. That's important. We're going to get to these. I know what I'm looking for. There, her. So, in this emergence theory, and part of this video, here's this young girl, and what a crystalline shape is, or crystalline structure is, it's I think called periodic, and this is a crystalline image of a three-dimensional image. Okay, see this? It's three-dimensional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now she's going to hold it up and the sun is going to shine through just like how we perceive things with light. And it's going to cast a shadow or two-dimensional image, which is the 2D on the ground, right? So she holds it up and into the sun. There it is. Okay, and there's your 2D image. When she moves it around, it makes a kind of flatter pattern and it ends up not periodic. And it ends up what's called a quasi-crystal of the actual real object, but it's real. It's there in the 2D, but it's a quasi of it. And it's not periodic and it's not crystalline. Okay, but you have to watch this 30-minute video. So you can see why I show this. It actually gives me the idea of the dimensions and the idea and shows you sort of the holographic nature. I'm touching on here where you see the actual item is the three-dimensional cubic thing she has, right? And the shadow or the holographic and showing the 2D dimension, right? That's just two. I'm going to show you more, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at there. Okay, we're going to get into some of this after. Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to get into that. And so here you can see again with the these scientists and group of scientists, this is their lattice work, right? And very complicated. And you can again see this is how it's created. And look at it, right?
Yeah, it even looks like a spider right there above number 6.
Yeah. There, look at this. And they're showing pictures of how it would look. This is our environment. If you looked up, this is the tetrahedron system that we're within. And I'll get to that. And this is really interesting. And it's interesting, but this isn't what it looks like, because you have to realize this is a created 2D image of what's very complicated as an 8D crystal image. Okay. And what this group of scientists did in their research is they projected it and did a quasi to the 4D. And this is how many points of energy within our grid system for a fourth dimensional. And then we have us down here where the physical matter, in these two, physical matter gets represented. And we're actually in this here, this 3D quasi crystal, where we're tetrahedron crystalline structure. And this is the physical matter world that I tried to explain in the dihole diagram that gets manifested on the physical plane. And this is where I wanted to, from last week, keep people in mind. That's what we were describing with the whole dihole model, with his multi-dimensional reality with the XY axis. Remember, and I'm going to show that diagram again with Planck's and how important it is. But what in his diagram, where the energy puts out to create our reality with we is down here. We live within this 3D here. And we come from this type of area up here, type of thing. It's hard to imagine, but these are the scientist pictures, and I know they're a little bit hard to explain, but like I said, this will be very clear if you watch the 30-minute video. I just wanted to show, because of last week's when I was trying to explain the tetrahedron and the triangle, and then the questions about the orbs and spheres within our plane of existence and how that would happen, right? And how that gets put together, right? So they're kind of pictures of that.
You know, it's amazing how it looks like crop circles too, you know, and whether they're made by aliens or whether they're made by humans, you know, you just wonder about the meaning behind them.
Yeah, that's another whole topic. And yeah, for sure, Brian, definitely. Because again, crop circles are sacred geometry, you know, points of however they're created, like where these hay or the straw, where they get flattened, you know, they always say they're burnt, and there's certain points of power, like energy, right, that makes the patterns. And I think I saw one show and some video on it where I think somebody said that came from the electric dynamics, something within the earth or something, or anyways, I don't know, but you're right. It reminds me of crop circles. That's complicated subject too, I think.
Yeah, for it's a whole new rabbit hole.
Whole new, yeah, let's not open that. I don't know. So again, with the emergence theory, and it's the golden ratio, which everybody's well aware of, is very important within their theory, and they account for all of the mathematical and constants within the universe to tie everything together, including Planck's constant, and many of the mathematical formulas in their theory. That's why I like it a lot. And the golden ratio is very, very important, and is a part of everything within our environment and world. And as you can see with the golden ratio, the mathematical formula, you got your triangle, and then, you know, how that works, right?
Yep.
And within our structure, and the golden mean is contained within everything, right? Now, what should I go to next?
And if any of y'all hadn't checked out the Diehold Foundation, you definitely should, because he has got some incredible information.
Because we talked about the heart and different things, you know, remember about the heart and the importance of that. Well, believe it or not, the reason why I like Diehold, and he's worth looking at, everybody, and is because he actually took the time, and it's his life's work. He is an analyst and a geologist, and he has scientists and everything, but he covered geologically, okay, what occurs in a cyclical or clock pattern within the world. And this all started because Brian asked, well, what is the micronova that the sun is going to go through, that everybody's talking about, the sun's, you know, micronova. And so he found the clock cycle, but in order to explain it, he does all the math, and I'm going to show you some charts, but he's been able to prove it with scientific data and journals from years and years of information geologically. He's taken the information from our ancient texts, including the Torah and Moses and what was handed down to him, and this is what this is, and how their letters were formed, and how it works with the electric universe and the toroidal fields, and how this is actually how an atom actually moves, believe it or not. And again, it's in his video. So, but I really like it because he takes all those sciences and pulls them together kind of in his whole series of work. So he takes the ancient buildings, the ages of those, the geologic occurrences, and all of our ancient texts, and puts them all together in a time sequence that fits. Perfect. So what this, believe it or not, see, this is an x-axis here. This is a electromagnetic field, a toroidal field. This is the point on his diagram that I talked about, where it comes out at the axis where the carrier wave goes across and shoots out at the proton, neutron and proton in either side of that plane. Remember where Planck's distance is? Well, where that x-axis is, where that dot is on the line, is where the matter or the point of energy is strong enough to shoot into our physical plane of existence, okay? And the atom, and this is what it here, this pattern, I don't know, can you see my pointer?
Yeah.
Okay, see this is the actual pattern or the movement of an atom particle, and this is their actual movement within their electromagnetic and whatever within their fields. And believe it or not, if you look at his work, I swear, the Torah and the 22 symbols or letters that Moses brought down from the 10 commandments, like the Torah was part, all of these are actual on this grid at each letter scientifically, and it's all comes out this way in a pattern, like it's energy, and there it's a program, and that's how they made those letters. And he explains it really well. I don't know if I can explain it that well.
Yeah, sometimes he explains it a little too well. I mean, you know, sometimes he can be above my head.
Yeah, and I need to see, with me being limited and not having video footage and just tons of pictures, but when he moves that toroidal field thing that he made the model, he actually has a model, everybody, and you can clearly see it, that when you get to a certain degree in movement within it, it actually makes a full heart within the degrees, and how it separates is very mathematical, and that's where the importance of the heart and the energy of the heart, and how it comes comes together. And they knew it was important that when you got this energy together within this system, right, of manifestation in this pattern, how strong of an energy it was, right? It's very sacred, a sacred geometry. And it all ties in together, because he even ties into the Hebrews letters, and here's your pyramids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so this is the geometry, the mathematics of the pyramids with 52.66 degrees. Here's your pyramidal angles, and here's his XY. Here's the vectoring representing the carrier wave that meets up into our line of existence at the 90 degrees, right? Angles are really important, and shoots out from here. So even the pyramid structure and this formula all matches together within this, and what he explains as far as the toroid, the letters, and the program and the code, and how it all works. He explains it completely, and how it works, and why the pyramids are energy systems, right?
Right.
Why they were used to create energy, and why the water's there, and just everything, and what they're used for. So he actually explains that as well in really good detail. So okay, now these are scientists, and I put this here because, and I know it's complex, but and I'll bring up his other model after, but this is in a science lab. This is a quantum computer, okay? And this is the XY, what Byhold is getting to. Mm-hmm. This is programmed into the quantum computer. See these codes down here? This is the actual letters from the Torah that, that actual spell. And when they put it into the quantum computer, and put in certain symbols, it lit up the tetrahedrons, just like the pyramids.
Wow.
Okay. Like, this is real. This is science. He's showing you real stuff here. And so I like this one because, there were certain letters, he said, 2 out of the 22, but there's 8 special ones that are rarely used. And this is part of the 8, not like this one, because it lights up the most. And these letters actually together, it spells the vault of heaven, or the kingdom of heaven. So when you light up these letters from the Torah that Moses brought down, this is what it's doing. Like, it's actually, and we could get into all of that after, but Diehold does. He gets in all to what the chamber is, what the Ark is, the covenant, what the rod of power is, what they were doing in the chamber. They were trying to shift and open up energy and shift reality, and he gets to all that after. And this is what we're getting to, the same point in quantum computing, okay? And this is what the quantum computer is doing. This is what they're using it for, part of it.
I mean, that supports that, all this the pyramid grid around the world was an ancient power system. I mean, and that makes more sense than anything, especially when you see the layout of where they're strategically placed.
Yes, definitely. Right. And always having a water source, and all kinds of things are adding up. It's, and that's why he includes all the pyramid, the sacred geometry. He puts that pyramidal math and into the whole Diehold. It just it fits in. We can go into another picture here. Yeah, and here it is again. His dissect of the degrees and how important it is, and where you get the pyramidal shape, right? And here's the letter with the sequences and the numbers. I don't know. I can't explain that. I don't have enough pictures to explain that.
It's the code within the code.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to show people, and the reason I'm just quickly, and again, it's just to encourage people to just go on and watch the videos. Now, with Diehold, he's a teacher. He presents them very professional, very succinct. They're all like you're going to a 40-minute lecture or class. You can watch them, start them, and he goes from the start to the finish. And by the time you get to the end, and if you follow it, take your time, you'll know what he's getting at. And the reason I showed the other emergence theory that the other people were working on, if you look at their work, it also fits into his, okay? And same with the electric universe as well. There's ties into all of them. That's why I'm mentioning all these emerging theories of our universe. Okay.
Yeah, another thing I like about his, like if his information is going to be drawn out, he'll break the video down in 3 parts. He won't sit there and beat you over the head with it. Right.
For sure. Now, I'm going to leave that for now. The only reason I brought up and showed all that tetrahedron and the different things, it was just so people could see at the smallest part that we can get to at that quantum, that little smallest level, it is a triangle. That's the smallest component that they can, and what they say. Now, I'm going to leave that for now. Because this is the next part. This is the more geologic part. The more I even understand, a little bit even more better. And the reason I'm just showing this stuff, Brian, again, is to encourage people to go look. This man has gathered a lifetime of information. The charts I'm going to show you here quick are from science journals over years, okay? And he only showing you little portions of them. He has pages and pages and pages, but he's just showing you that, okay, this is what they've gathered, okay? And this is why, partly why he discovered that 12,068 year cycle, okay?
I got a quick question if you don't care.
No, go ahead.
Franny Giesland said, how does the pyramid mirror the structure of mountains, pure crystalline structures? I don't know what it means, but
how does the pyramid happen to emulate the overall structure of a mountain?
Yeah.
Well, okay, the mountain is within the natural occurrence of putting information together, okay, right, within our system. So it's natural. And if you look at those mountains, they are crystals, and you go right down to the base level of a rock, right? They are, and again, that's the natural occurrence. Keep in mind the pyramid was something that it was not naturally made, right? Somebody made it, right? But it was based on probably natural laws and mathematical things that we're just kind of learning now or understanding now. Another good video that people want to see about the pyramids they're interested in, there was somebody sent me, and I watched a video recently of a group of people that they went and did experiments within the pyramids themselves. And again, if you want to look to see what actually lit up the pyramid, they took in a 64 tetrahedron structure that came together in a big Merkaba, and that was the power source within the pyramids. And they were able to ring them and have resonance, and they did this whole series of experiments with actual energy structures, bringing them in of this tetrahedron system. So it's on YouTube too, if they're interested in that. I've seen that recently too, and those were actual experiments that were done. So again, it was the tetrahedron. Because again, of course, people remember, most people know about the power of the Merkaba, right? Well, right? That's your double tetrahedron, one upright, one inverse overlapping, right? So, okay, now I want to get to the Gleisberg cycle and about the sunspots. And actually, this will starts in with your micronova stuff and more geology, because we're going to move around a little bit. I know it'll be a little bit confusing, but remember, I just grabbed pictures and I'm trying to connect some things. But okay, so what he's showing here, and everybody is quite aware about sunspots and sunspot cycles, I think, right, Brian? I think everybody's aware that the most common one is, they know about the 11-year, right? There's a common 11-year sunspot cycle where you have more activity or less activity. And what they discovered, there's the scientists that they here showing is something called the Gleisberg cycle, which consists of 8 sunspot cycles, so 8 times 11. And so they track all of these in smaller and larger different graphs, okay? And what this is showing you is 136 Gleisberg cycles. Exactly. And what that is, in every 136 Gleisberg cycle is, guess what exactly? 12,068 years.
Yep.
Okay, so it has to do with the sun. There's their 12,068. I'm just going to skim the surface about these numbers, and just I'm only doing this so I can pique people's interest, so they'll just go on and listen to the experts, please. All right, here we go. So I'm going to show this, but we'll probably get back to this in another video, the importance of this. But this is really important because it just shows you the activity in 1957, because eventually when you go through his videos, he comes across what's so important about 1957 and NASA, and why NASA was started in 1957, and about the, and eventually about the going to the moon to bring back the glass beads from the micronova burst that they knew was there and why it's shiny and all that. But look at this. This, Brian, is a day in the life of the sun in 57, 230. Look at this. Those are sunspots per day.
Oh my God!
We don't get any hardly now, because we're at our minimum run, right? That builds in a few. Then this just shows you. But look at this, and he's flagged this because this was really active. Look at this: 300, 345, 350 per day.
That's almost a blackout of the sun, you would think.
Yes, it went crazy, right, during that period. So I'm just showing this because as we continue, if we continue our every couple of weeks, and it'll come out, all of this, the importance of all this, trust me. But I'm just showing you now to pique interest in how active the sun, that's per day. And if anybody knows what a sunspot is and the activity with the positive, negative, and what's going on there, my God, my goodness, eh?
That was definitely a solar maximum cycle.
Yes, and we're in a minimum now, like a longer period minimum, right? Not that 11-year smaller cycle. Because remember,
Maunder minimum.
Because remember, everything cycles within cycles within cycles, right? So we have small cycles and large cycles, right up to, who knows what size. Now, I'm showing you this because this is geology, okay, and this is the kind of stuff that I understand, okay. And this is about finding the clock cycles. And what he's showing you here is what happens during the Ice Age and the receding glacier, okay? And it just shows you, different things that are called moraines and the floodplains and things. But what we look at are these little nodules here. See these little nodules? Well, what geologists look for is something called glacial till. And in that glacial till, they can carbon date it and all kinds of materials to get an idea about when did that ice age occur. So we can actually, by glacial till and carbon dating, find out when each ice age occurred. Okay?
Okay.
That's why I showed this picture, right? Makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
yeah,
I'm going to show you something really important here in the C14 carbon dating of organic material, because there's organic material found within and other things within the glacial till. And he's just showing a small sample here. He has pages and pages. And I want to show you that these are actual scientific journals, has the years of all the journals, the volumes, the authors. And what I want to show you is that what he's showing you here is that these samples were taken all over the world. Okay, not just in one part of the world. This, the glacier ice age and where the glaciers were, they weren't just up north like you think. When he goes through some of them, they go down as far as the equator and just crazy places. The ice ages that we went through and how drastic they were. So anyway, so I want to show you something here. Okay, Brian and everybody. So, okay, here's the first sample set. Guess when they happened? All of the samples that he collected all over the world, from Queen Charlotte Island, look at Canada, Chile, Italy, Greece, right?
Yep.
Just everywhere, Sudan, 12,000 years.
It's all around 12,000.
Okay, the next sample base that they found in the glacier till, right? Again, they took the next one from all over the world, the next period, 24,000 year range. 12,068 year difference. The next ice age they discovered, where there was the next evidence of glacial till for the dating of the next ice age, again, samples taken all over the world, 36,000 years, another 12,068. These are actual samples that were taken, right? Core samples, right? Mm-hmm. Again, next 12,000 cycle, the next time that the glacier period, the big ice age happened, 48,004, another 12,000 years. See what I'm saying? All the way up to the 60,000. So, and he has pages and pages and pages. All of the carbon dating for the glacial till found all around the world are cyclical patterns of 12,068 cycles, 68 years. Okay, so that's just the glacial till. So this is fact. I'm showing you real information here of years and years of actual science journals, okay, that geologists kept. Okay, so the next geologic thing that I know of and I understand is, of course, people are aware of it, is, and we're all talking about it, is the geomagnetic reversals, the non-glacier evidence, okay, because that was the glacier evidence, right? Right. So here's our magnetic reversal stuff, okay? Again, here's the journals, here's the dates, here's the scientists, right? Samples taken all over the world from rocks, and because you can tell which way, positive, negative, okay, again, positive, negative of the minerals, 12,000 year, right? Mm-hmm. Next one, 24,000 years, 12,000 years exactly, 68, right? And they all showed that exactly for all, like the reversals. There's some mini reversals, right? I'm not saying there's not minor reversals, but what I think he comes to say is that there are times when a reversal goes with a micronova verse with other things and other larger cycles that all come together at once that cause a big havoc on the earth. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Well, like you were saying earlier, it's all cycles within cycles within cycles.
Yes. Yeah. So here's another carbon dating factual. Again, all those science journals, organic material. And this has to do with the volcanic overflows and all the samples of the volcanic overflows, because whenever you get a large magnetic reversal like that, all the volcanoes erupt and go off, and why we see so much activity today. And again, all the samples taken from the volcanic overflows, okay, again, and again, all over the world, right? South America, Sweden, he's got them all everywhere. Again, they match the exact 12,068 and 24,000 and 36,000 and the 48, right? So again, there's your volcanic stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you another thing, this geologic, that's really important about his work, where people can't refute it. Okay, and this is an ammonite fossil. Okay, and with the ammonite fossil in particular, they stay around the edge of the shallow water, right? It's an ancient fossil that has been probably one of the oldest known that around. And what they started doing was they realized that during these micronova bursts and big changes, that the sea levels changed drastically by hundreds of feet. Okay, so what they did with the different layers of the ammonite fossils is they carbon dated the ones from certain sea levels, right, to other ones at the other sea levels, different varying sea levels, right, and carbon dated them, right, for that. And they were, again, the 12,068 years. Okay, for where the ammonites were, based on each time the water level dropped during a big reversal or micronova burst. So it was captured within the carbon dating of the ammonite fossils on each level of the sea levels of where they had existed at one time, because our water levels have always risen and dropped. Okay, so definitely, so that falls in. Oh, this one's really good. Again, I'll just go over it really quick, and people will, visuals really good. So what's he showing you is your different periods here, Jurassic and all that stuff. In the middle here, this is the reversals, magnetic reversals. Okay. And what he's showing here is the sea level rises and falls, and how much they do it instantly, almost very quickly, 600, very quick. And it's always during a reversal.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you get the rise and falls, and so it's always on the exact spot of a certain point in certain reversals. So you always get that water level up and down of a, reversal. And he explains in his work, of course, with that and why that is. Think about it with the sun. If it does micronova, like they're saying, and you get that much heat, well, it's going to evaporate the water instantly from the surface of the earth, a big portion of it. And
on the sun-facing side, but on the opposite side, you get that vacuum effect. And somebody was asking
that's right.
earlier about mammoth freezing in place, and
yes,
that's one thing that would explain that, is that vacuum effect, and it just basically sucks out and cold or all the air, the atmosphere, and then freezes everything in place.
That's right. So what happens is when the one side gets hit with the sun's micronova and evaporates, and with the heat, right, and even the atmosphere gets sucked right off, and so the Earth compensates and quickly moves all of the air from the opposite side to, it moves over it like a vacuum, and it sucks it right out instantly, and it's like something like 100 degrees below zero. And like, you're right, all the mammoths were frozen instantly, and all of that happened. Yeah. So that explains something. They knew something very strong and powerful, and so strong would have to cause something so hot. Well, the only thing hot enough would be our sun. I mean, and then what's really interesting, Brian, if we wanted to get into that then about our sun, and people wanted to really get into it, they could then go into the electric universe and Velikovsky's work in the proto-Saturn theory, and the whole theory about where the Earth and Saturn and Mars, where we were in with our own little system, and when we collided with the sun, and this all makes sense as well, where we collided with our current system and were pulled in, and changed everything at that point, and how we could, and the electric universe kind of does it because of certain planets don't match, like certain planets that were formed. If you watch electric universe and plasma cosmology and how stars are formed, they would have similar rotation and declination and degrees, and that's why we don't have a match. And where some match with the sun and Earth and Mars, and some others match together in the collision, why we've got the belt with the debris, and all kinds of things. And so if you follow that electric universe and Velikovsky's, it truly makes sense. And you know what, Brian? Somebody thought about it and how you could really kind of test that. Maybe I'm not sure, but if that was the case, then at some point in our geologic record back, there wouldn't be a record of a micronova burst by that particular sun with the glass beads and everything, right? At some point, there should be a blank period where that no longer exists, because you know what I'm saying? If we weren't with this current sun, because then we wouldn't have the micronova. So you'd have to really go into geologic records, right? So how far, I think that's the whole point. I think Doug Vogt wants geologists to go and find the glass beads, again, at certain levels right throughout the world. And at some point, does that stop? Does that 12,060 year cycle stop with the microburst of the current sun we have? Further back in our history, did it not happen at all? Is there no record of that?
I never thought about it that way.
Well, it would be in the geologic record somewhere, depending how far back they would find this 12,000 year cycle with all of the evidence we're showing within fossils, within the minerals, within the beads, right? So if they found those every 12,068 years, and then all of a sudden they didn't exist, then there was something else then, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I thought about that. That was just a fleeting thought.
No, like I said, it put a new twist on it for me. So I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. So you're quite aware too, because you just described exactly what Douglas, and other people about the freezing on the other side and why it gets so cold on the other side. So that was part of his whole series as well, right? So, all right. So so definitely, if you look into Doug Voigt's stuff, I'm just showing you frames, you can see definitely the geologic side, as him as a geologist, right? He has that covered for sure. And then if you looked at the whole first section about the Torah and the code and the Moses, and he explains how the text correlates, right? And how, and as a programmer, I can honestly say that when I look at that, the Torah and the different things, to me, it looks like programming code to me. It really does. It does look like code, and a code that has pattern, right? And a repetitive
I guess that falls in line with the cycles. That's why it has a pattern to it.
I don't know if I want to get in. I want to go back to something else first here. Let's go back here for a minute, maybe. Okay. So, well, just because I just went through a whole bunch of new things, but I showed just this diagram last week, remember? So we'll go back. And what I wanted to go back again to the person to reiterate that again, what we're just trying to understand with this diagram and talk about was not all the other dimensions yet. We only had covered trying to explain how matter gets manifested within the physical plane of this 3D type of reality. So that's what we're trying to explain. So, and again, here's his diagram with the carrier waves and the protons, neutrons, and here's Planck's time here, which is very fast, as far as what it is, as far as amount or space. I'll show you. That was the diagram for that. For the matter world. I just want to make sure that that's all we were covering at this point was up to the matter world or this reality, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I think we could talk about this if you wanted in his work, and because he explains light and about manifestation and how light works and how we perceive everything within the spectrum of light and how small it is that we can see actually within our world. And I want to show this picture because within his system, and that we're in a program, and that it's actually a program that actually has a feedback loop, I would describe it as, because we're constantly sending and receiving information, right? And the computer is completely always checking, updating, changing it, right? Okay, just like a regular computer would. So what he's showing you is what's it called? The photography, crinoline photography. You know when they, right?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
No, it's called crinoline photography, right? When
Okay.
they show you the aura, like the energy, when they take the
Oh, okay.
pictures.
Gotcha.
So this is the cut leaf part theory that they played with and took many pictures. And what they did was showing you where they actually physically cut the piece off the leaf. It doesn't actually exist, but within seconds, if you use the right tools, you can still capture the energy of that crystal or that leaf or whatever is there that's cut. And it's still showing you the information that's being fed. And then what happens, believe, within the system, within 2 seconds, if you take the picture again, it corrects itself and then corrects the picture without the without this part that's missing, so that it won't show the light or the energy. See what I'm saying?
Well, you know what that brings to mind to me is, like, you know, an amputee, like they can still feel their arm as if it's still there even after it's been amputated. And I would be curious to see if there's still an aura present.
Yes, there is, and for a certain length of time. Because I did look into that too, and other videos and different things, and I can actually comment on the phantom feeling and everything because my dad is a double amputee.
Oh, really?
No, but he and recent. So we talked about when he was explaining to me about that, like you say, that phantom feeling. He swore he still had his feet and that they were there when it was first done, but then it disappeared. It's like this, that in the feedback loop of the system we're in, the computer system. Think about it. So it's manifesting us here somehow. Then you cut the part of the leaf off. It has to send that information back in. It cycles it so fast, though, because of the Planck time, right?
But there's
Within
still an amount of
seconds.
time it takes to process that information.
That's right. It's processing the information back in the feedback loop, right? And then it corrects it. So then within seconds, if you took the picture again, it would not show that because it's corrected it. And that's with proven over and over and over and over. Right? So, and the thing that I like about the emergence theory that we saw, if you watch that video, and they have the scientists talking in 2-hour-long ones, they actually talk about the fact about, and everybody explains time, I think, quite well in those ones, but that we affect the future and the future affects the past, and it is a loop. And this sort of shows the feedback loop within a program and how sort of that would work. And the emergence theory, the one that I was showing you before, they really get into that as well, and about that aspect of how that works in the all time. They call it the all time, which makes sense as well, right? We're continually sending and receiving that information, and it's continually updating and, you know, changing it. So I wanted to show the picture about that because this shows something that we can't see without special equipment, right? Or
Right.
tools.
You know, I think we're actually capable ourselves, but we forgot how to do that. So, you know, I mean, it was probably during one of these reset cycles.
Yeah, and actually, you yourself have to be at a certain energy or vibration. This is what people see when they see auras, because I've seen them, and you can see them by taking certain drugs would help. You know, they do for some reason, but definitely when people you can see auras, and that's what they're seeing. They're seeing that energy system around things. You know, everything that we see. It's around everything within this physical dimension, because it cannot be. Even the lowest mineral kingdom, which is the mineral, you know, the inanimate, even that has the energy around it.
Because everything is energy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Now, these were really. So this is getting. Let me just see here. I was looking for something. I don't want to get into the current series of light and stuff that are kind of a little incorrect. Oh, this might be good. This one in particular, he goes through the electromagnetic spectrum, and I just wanted to show here. This is our visible light spectrum. This is what we can see, like us humans.
You know,
Right?
I've said
In a
before,
nanometer, 1 billionth of a meter, and as a nanometer, and this is it. And see this here? This is it here. And the whole
I've said
universe.
before, I think that we're seeing more of the spectrum, because, you know, like how the skies look different, everything looks more crisp, clear. And I think that's a part of our evolution. I think that we're evolving to see more spectrums of light.
Yes. So right now, you see, this is basically what we usually see.
Right.
And I mean, you can see all the areas, you know, we get lower frequencies increasing all the way up to the 10 to the 24th, which is X-ray, which is frequency, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, right? Now we're getting into frequency and vibration here again, and wavelength now, okay? So, and we get into all the complication things, and all these theories cover this kind of things. And I just kind of wanted to show you frequency, vibration, wavelength, okay? So, and I wanted to show you that here on this one, it's got the 10 to the 24. Now, I want to show you something here. Now, look at this. And in the diagram that he's talking about with his whole theory with the Planck, and so people know what Planck time is and the Planck constant, how this works, right? It's a frequency and a hertz. And if you know that time is the transfer rate within our whole energy system, here we go down here. Look, here's where I showed you where I left off at the 10 to the minus 14 hertz, right? Mm-hmm. And this visual spectrum up to the UV, X-rays, the gamma rays. And look, here's Planck's time way up here. See at the other end?
Wow.
5.39 times 10 to the minus 44. And that is so fast how things, the time, you know, clicks, you know.
Now, I guess where it's closer together and tighter, does that mean it's vibrating at a higher frequency then, I would assume?
Definitely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Oh, you can see, look at the wavelengths, how they, you see?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And as you go down in frequency, they get longer and longer, right? So, and then he discusses harmonics too in here in the purple areas too. But I think I will do this one really quick here, because he even covers this stuff, which covers his work. Okay, here. I wonder, do most people know how an atom's structured and an atom looks? I don't know if I have a picture of that. I should have. Sort of shows an atom. But anyways, well, this is an actual real picture of a hydrogen atom. So some structures or information they show isn't quite correct, but notice that she shows this because he explains about the pinpoint of energy in the middle of the atom where you see the red, right? Mm-hmm. And that from that pinpoint where energy gets manifest and burst out. And then this is just a cloud, electromagnetic sheaths or clouds. So it's, you know, and this is an actual, and if you notice, this is just the atom, but it looks like anything you see in the universe, doesn't it? When they show you pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the universe. I mean, so, and that's an atom, hydrogen atom. Okay, now this is what I want. This is CERN, actually. And the reason I put this in is that if you go by our old models, and they say that and about spectral lines, okay? And I showed you one, you know, before last time, and I had one here, you know, where they show the spectrums of minerals and they show the color spectrums, you know, and their frequencies and there's, you know, and they'll show like for example, gold or lead has so many spectral lines. Okay. That's what they're saying. Like a gold particle is 452 spectral lines on the atomic scale. Okay. Now, what this shows is that how false that is. This is an actual picture of a gold atom within the CERN machine, and it's thousands. Not what they're saying, you know, as far as what we think, but you know, this is what they're showing, what they've discovered. It's these thousands of spectral lines or points. of energy. And that's a little gold atom.
Wow.
See, there it is from the view down the tube at CERN, right? That's the collider, and that's just one little atom, and that's down the tube. And he's showing you like it's thousands and thousands of these energetic fibers or spectral lines. And here he's showing in how it is in this tube or the cylinder. And the reason I'm showing you is to tie this in to his work, and he explains it. And if you watch the video, I can't hundreds of pictures, but from this energy point in the middle, from the atom as they created it and the particles, notice that the atom, it curves out and wraps around, and it actually is creating that toroidal system that he shows, right, in the atom and that work with the Torah. And that's the toroidal field that it's creating automatically within the CERN, this thing, the barrel. So showing the particles, and they do a something like do the counter, like the rotation, you know, and create the toroid or the toroid. Yeah. So that backs up his work too. And this is CERN. So, I mean, these are actual pictures from CERN, from the collider. So, and that's what he's showing here. So I'm back to showing you, that's what CERN's showing you, the particle. And this is his plane. I'm showing you my pointer here and the plane, right? This is the axis in the plane, and where it follows along that atom along, and this is how they flow.
You know, and that's something like I never really bought into the hollow earth theory, but I'm kind of delving into that a little bit, because to me, I mean, that would make perfect sense that there would be a hollow earth, because I mean, you know, even our energy fields are a toroidal field, and then the earth is the same way. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we can get into that a bit too. I have lots about the human toroidal field too, and how all that works. But okay, so we kind of covered, I'm just wondering if there's something else before we move on, because I think I'm hoping I've showed enough of his work to show you why it's accurate, it's scientific. He fits his theories and models into many others. He uses CERN. The geology is right on and accurate. He covers the quantum computers, math. Here's your, this is the emergence theory. Okay, now remember I mentioned the two theories. This was the first one, and I forgot to show you, and this is like your tetrahedron here. It just was in a video, and I stopped it after it moved, but it actually showed a triangle more. But it's showing you this line here, and even they recognize the smallest unit of length in existence is the Planck length. Okay, and he shows you the Planck length, and I just showed you the Planck length and the Planck constant, Einstein constant, it's called. So, you know, so that's in both of those theories as well, right? And I noticed across, and it's even electric universe, and several theories actually now, you know, emerging theories for sure, and how important the Planck's constant is.
Yeah, you know, even though you've had all the images tonight, you've covered it pretty well. And an hour's already flew by. I don't know how much longer you want to go, but.
Oh, that's why I stopped for now. It was just food for thought for everybody, just to pique interest and watch the videos, watch the experts. They're very clear. Like I said, they're 30, 40 minutes long with, you know, and just check all different theories out there. See where the commonality is. That's what I do. I've looked at many different theories throughout the years. I mean, my goodness, if we just stayed with theories from several hundred years ago, you know,
yeah, no matter how reputable the scientists, don't take it at face value. Do your own research and come to your own theories, because that's the way we're truly learning. That's how we evolve.
Yeah, for sure, Brian, for sure. So I hope that was good. Did anybody have any questions or anything with all that information thrown at them, or?
I haven't seen any more. Everybody's saying great show, though. They're loving the information. Oh yeah, don't forget to send me those links, because a lot of people are wanting to check out the videos. So I want to put those links in the description.
Yeah, for the sort of the two main theories. I mean, for the Dihole Foundation and different things. Okay, well, I guess that was the show for today. I guess that was the show for today.
Well, we'll continue this. If you want to do it next week or if you want to do it bi-weekly like we did before, that's up to you. I'm actually working on getting the rest. I want to say this real quick. I want to thank Brian Lunsford. He donated $25 last week, and Desert Rose donated $20 this week. So I'm only $20 away from Zoom. So hopefully I'll get that taken care of, and we'll keep going from there. But would you rather go weekly or bi-weekly?
Bi-weekly right now.
I figured with being a busy time of year, I figured that would work better. And plus, that way I can work in, because I've still got quite a few people I need to schedule. I'm trying to catch up just where I started back.
Yeah. Well, and I'm hoping I've got some really good stories to share outside of that scientific stuff of things that happened. Of course, with the other things going on, and some other things that happened with people, just great stories, of how things are tied together magically and things created. But, yeah, things are really, really happening. There's so much change going on and so much good stuff for sure. Yeah.
It truly is an honor that you accepted this invitation, because like I said, I wanted to show people that you're much more than crystals, and you're definitely an intelligent woman and have a lot to offer. Like I said, you're not a scientist by any means.
No,
You've definitely done the groundwork and the research to back it up.
Yeah, my area, of course, is all the years of mining and geology, and I did 10 years of the fossils where they show the ammonites. I have, if you go on my website, you can see my trilobite. I have one there that's even older. It's like in the 400 million year range. And so, yeah, I do have that, side of the programming and the kind of geology and, that kind of thing to fit everything together. So, but still, nowhere near the experts in the fields for sure.
David Berry keeps saying he's looking forward to seeing his pendulum.
Yeah, I have to email Dave for sure. Yeah. It's funny. I'll email him. Yeah, for sure. I have something to tell him about it. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, so every 2 weeks is best. And if anyone thinks of any questions or input or like some other information. The other thing too, Brian, and I've said before, if any other person wants to come on with us and ahead of time and talk or, have a discussion, or the people have, because there's got to be other people in our community that are kind of scientific and have looked at these different emerging theories and might be able to, shed some light on things that I haven't even thought of or, can think of, would be great too at some point,
Yeah, anybody. I mean, whether you want to come on with Karen or whether you want to join me, I mean, don't think that you don't have something to include, because we all have something to include. So email me at milkywayweekly@gmail.com, and I'd love to have you on. Like I said, I'm trying to work in scheduling now. So Karen, thank you for another great night.
Oh, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks, and I'll talk to everybody in between, that I do, and love you all. And thank you so much. And I hope it piqued enough interest to get out there and check it out yourself for sure. Watch some of these videos for sure.
Absolutely. Well, tomorrow night I've got finally rescheduled Yankees Outdoor Adventures, and we're going to be talking about creation theories and a lot more. Who knows? You know how I roll. I just kind of shoot from the hip. So we'll see how it goes. And then Sunday night I've got the return of David Noel. We've got some more information that he's going to provide. And if you haven't seen David Noel, he's definitely enlightened. He's a shaman as well. So tune in for that, folks. And remember, have a wonderful day and be the frequency you want to receive. I love y'all. Have a good night.